keep thinking life is what it's not. We keep feeling it's impossible for some. Why do we keep trying to turn people into gods? When God is in the people. God is in the people. Oh yeah. God is in the people. Oh, God is in the people. God is in the people. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, God is in the people.
I'm Alexander Lancaster at the Liberty House with the Queen.
Hey.
And we're going to talk about some of the things. We shot a video just a few minutes ago, so we're going to talk about a little bit about the message. First off, where are you from?
So I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah.
I've been living out there for a couple of years. I was born in Florida. But for the last few years, I've just been traveling from city to city. And then I've just made home in New Orleans. So I guess I'm not from New Orleans, but it's home now. And it'll be home for probably the rest of my life.
Yeah, I understand that. One day I'm going to call it home again, too. I think the biggest first question is you came to Topeka on a mission. What's your mission?
So this summer I have been dancing across the country from city to city with really a message of love, freedom, positive body image, trans rights, certain humanistic liberation qualities. And I think I came out to Topeka to dance in front of Westboro Baptist Church in the Equality House. I've recognized in our society there's a lot of confusion when it comes to God, when it comes to religion, the lines are very skewed between what is free speech and what isn't free speech. And if Westboro Baptist Church has the freedom to spew their hate and their bigotry and propagate that, and over a span of generations, then I can very well grab a cross and dance and express what I think and feel about God and love, in my own unique way. I don't, the biggest message that I have really for society is that we have to stop allowing people to use God and religion as a means of oppression. We cannot continue using God to justify bigotry, to justify discrimination, to justify acts of evil. For the last 2,000 years, every act of evil that has been committed in the name of God, and that's a problem.
And I have to ask, do you believe in God?
I believe in God. I do believe that I am sitting right here in this house because of God. Because I've developed a relationship with God, and I allow God to act and speak through me. And it's there's really not that separation that people think there is between God and humanity. God and humanity are a reflection of each other.
So do you believe that the God you believe in and the God that Westboro Baptist Church believes in is the same God, or do you see that there's some confusion, or what's your take on that?
You see, the God that Westboro Baptist Church and really the rest of society seems to cling to is this God of fear. It is a fear-based God that persecutes, judges, condemns, and it's really just a reflection of man's ego. It has nothing to do with love, it has nothing to do with peace, it has nothing to do with freedom, it has everything to do with surrendering to fear. And what I believe about God is that there is fear and that there is love. You cannot experience a true love if you're in a state of fear. And if you're in a state of fear, then you can't experience love. It's really one or the other. I don't need to be scared of a loving God. I wake up in the morning and I can feel God's love. I can, experience God's love. And I know that despite whatever mistakes that I've made in my life, God has got me. It's not even, I don't really have to question it. Things always kind of work out, in an interesting way. And I don't need to, I'm not going to subjugate myself to a God of fear.
So, like, the God that you know is a God of love, is that the difference between the Westboro Baptist Church and the God we believe in?
That's the God of love that I experience in my life, but is an unconditional love. That regardless whatever mistakes that you seem to make, that love never goes away.
So where do you experience fear?
Fear is a concept of the mind. It's doubt. It's
Where do you personally experience fear?
If there's one thing that I'm scared of, and where I experience the most fear is with people. I'm not scared of God. I'm scared of man. Man frightens me because man can rationalize his way through all sorts of evil. Someone can punch me in the face and say, "Oh, well, God wants this to happen," and I'm supposed to just accept that. Well, that's a lie.
Right? No doubt.
It's not. I don't. I don't know. I live my life, in accordance to my mind, my heart, and my spirituality and my own divinity. But it's other people. Other people can be scary. Other people, and what they think is right and what they think is wrong.
There's other misconception of love, really,
and
of what God should be.
And I don't. And at the end of the day, God is. God is different for everybody. It's not. Maybe there is this universal, entity, but that universal entity, speaks to each of us in a different way.
So what has happened in your life to make you want to take on this big challenge to have a voice for people who have experienced hate, who has experienced all these misconceptions of what love is supposed to be about? What's happened in your life that you kind of wanted to take the reins and say, you know what, I'm going to be a voice?
I woke up. Having walked through the world and experiencing so much pain and so much suffering, experiencing what it is to be alone and the loneliness that comes with it, and we have so much access now to to really the world on a network, and to see the suffering of the world, to feel it, to see people that you care about, and to see the things that you do believe in and that you do have faith in kind of getting squandered, and knowing that if you don't do anything about it, if you don't say anything, if you don't stand for anything, then that silence is really an apathetic way of just letting evil kind of carry on, and I'm not and I recognize the importance of taking responsibility and the things that you say and the things that you believe in, and taking responsibility for your actions. And what I've noticed is that most people, in society, they have these beliefs and they have these ideas, but they don't take responsibility for anything that they believe or anything that they say. Oh, Jesus died for my sins, so I can continue going on, doing whatever, and, hurting other people, and, discriminating against other people and using that as an excuse to do so. And that's not, that's not okay. And I don't think, I don't know, there was a time in my life where, I really just felt really alone and really, unloved. And my faith in God and my faith in love was non-existent. But it wasn't until I kind of left and I went on this journey to rediscover who I am that I
You discovered love.
I discovered love in myself and learning to love who I am and to be strong in that. And no one ever, growing up, no one ever told me that I had to love myself. No one ever told me that it was important to find value in who you are. And, once I did find value in my life and once I did, embrace who I am, was I able to break down the walls of my ego and
be a voice for others.
And be a voice for others.
That's pretty awesome.
And really, to be a voice for myself too.
Yeah.
We're all interconnected and we're all woven together, and it's important that we understand the value of each other, because no one in society, it's really clear that people don't know the value of life, and that is a shame, because you get maybe 60 years if you're lucky, and to spend that doing things that you hate and hating other people, and I wouldn't want, why would you want to live like that? Life is more valuable to me than that.
I agree. So, I don't want to take too much of your time on the interview, but if you could say something that if somebody is watching from Westboro Baptist Church or from a group, a hate group, or any of that kind of stuff, with their negative thoughts that they're thinking, what could you say to them? What would you say to them if you have a moment to say something that would hopefully be towards a good mission?
That it's really worth reading those words in red letters in the Bible.
Wow.
That they are pulling words from the Bible that Jesus never spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're, following, if you're following words from the Old Testament, or if you're following the words of Paul, or anything outside of what Jesus Christ himself spoke, then you're really not a follower of Christ, and you can't really say that you believe in Jesus, because you go against everything he says.
So read the words in red.
Read the words in red. And specifically, take a look at the Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes. The Sermon on the Mount was really the whole foundation of everything that Jesus spoke. It was, really like the cornerstone of Christianity. And, that's, the important part, loving your neighbor, loving your enemy, turning the other cheek, not, it's important, and you can't possibly sit here and continue using the Word of God to justify discriminating against other people. At the end of the day, it is not God who hates anybody, it's you who hates people. And it'd be one thing if you said, you know what, I hate faggots, and I think you're going to hell, and I don't agree, or whatever. That's one thing. If you can acknowledge that you hate these people.
It's easier to accept.
It's a lot, but it's
it's your opinion.
Because it's your opinion,
right?
But when you start, switching out the enunciations from I to God, and mixing things together, then you're not speaking on behalf of God. You're speaking on behalf of yourself, and you need to know the difference between God and yourself.
It sounds to me like also that you were not telling people to, hey, don't be Christians. Just actually, you're telling them to be better Christians. Almost.
Yeah, that's you be better Christians. Like it's not, and you believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, but don't, where I have a problem is
don't be lukewarm. It says that in the Bible too, don't it?
Yeah, I don't, and honestly, but if you're gonna sit here and use God as a weapon of mass destruction, then that's a problem for me. if you're going to sit here and use God as a way to determine whether or not someone goes to heaven or hell, you don't have that say. That's not, you don't have that judgment. You don't have that right to judge. And even Jesus told you not to judge. It fucking says it clear as day. It's not, clearly they need to fucking open their fucking Bibles again and, look over it.
So, with to your knowledge, what is this kind of mindset? The way people think about God hates fags, and that's the way God meant it, and not so much substituting for I. But to your knowledge, like, what's the biggest damage that has been done?
It's this. The biggest damage, one, is that we have created a toxic atmosphere of spirituality, where people are no longer really searching for the truth, and people are no longer searching for that deeper love, because they're that love has kind of been tainted through this ugliness that people have propagated. And God and love are no longer synonymous. So when you think of God, you're not thinking of love. You're thinking of fear, and you're thinking of judgment. And you're thinking of heaven and hell, and all these things.
So how does that affect society, though?
It affects society because it further perpetuates that ignorance, where children who are gay and who are coming out of the closet are not getting put out on the street by their parents, or parents are turning their backs on their kids, and we can't see.
Causing homelessness and
it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's not these people are so scared of going to hell and so scared of God that they probably they perpetuate this this evil notion that you can't even have that your kids are going to suffer now everyone around you is going to suffer because of what you believe, and that's not it's not fair. And I don't think America, people have been using this shit for thousands of years. We've used God to justify genocide. We've used God to justify slavery. We've used God to justify Holocaust. We've used God to justify burning women at the stake. We've used God to justify all sorts of monstrosities. Mm-hmm. And that I think that is the greatest sin of it all, is that we have, with one hand, damned the world, and with the other hand, held a cross and said, this is what it's about.
So what would you like to see people do with God?
I'd like to see people find their own way. I'd like people to take a seat back, take a step back, and reevaluate their lives to the point where if you cannot see God in yourself, and if you can't see God in the person next to you, then maybe you're not looking hard enough. And, if that deeper spirituality is what we're really searching for, you really need to look in the mirror and, start finding it within your own self, within your own life. There's no, you can't, if you really want to know God, and if you really want to experience a true love, then you really have to peel back these layers that have been stamped on our minds, and until there's till we get to that raw core of who we are. There's not. I'd like people to to travel more. I'd like people to open their minds and broaden their perspectives to the point where maybe it doesn't have to be this black and white, right or wrong thing. That maybe, somewhere there's a gray area, and that, we can all kind of live in peace in the in-between, where there's not, where we have the freedom to make mistakes, and we have the freedom to
make choices. But thank you for letting me do this video and asking me to shoot the video over there and giving us the information.
I really appreciate you taking the time out to come out and film strange trans queer person, dancing in the fucking street.
That is kind of what I enjoy doing. Not only that part, but I enjoy really helping people like in ways to create art, and I see art as a message. Art and love are pretty damn close to each other.
Yeah.
So you use art to help spread the love and help spread the message, and so that makes me want to jump right into it, and I appreciate that. So
No, totally.
we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Absolutely, I appreciate
Back in
it.
Topeka.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So